Hey, what's up, everybody? Going to go through my model again today, let you know what it's seeing, what I see that might be a little bit different. These will be the games that are going today. I do have the predictions right there and the edges. We'll go through each game individually. We'll get on the recap from yesterday. We had a pretty good day. Like I said, we had a pretty good day yesterday. We went 6-2 all against the spread, and 5-2, and had one that was right in the middle of the total. So really good day compared to the past 2 days. Got Charlotte on the spread, missed the over on that one. Got both in that Philly Houston game after overtime. Philly almost lost that one, came back and ended up winning. So it was right on the money line and it was right on the spread. The Washington Denver game, Murray and Gordon ended up playing, so they ended up covering that spread. Um, did get the over under on that, got the under. So Dallas Golden State, like I said, without Butler, I was looking at Dallas. The model already liked Dallas before having too much information on that. So got the spread, and that's the one where the total was right there in the middle. Chicago beat Minnesota. Minnesota was almost a 10-point spread. So got the Chicago spread, got the under on that game. San Antonio missed the spread on that one. Utah did not cover, which I didn't expect them to, even though that was a very, very large spread. And then got the under, got the Clippers spread, missed the over on that one. Lakers couldn't score. And then Portland game, got the spread, got the under. So, again, really good day yesterday. We'll go ahead and get in today's games. All right, so the first game we're going to go through is going to be the Boston and Brooklyn game. The model has Boston basically 112 to 111. So the spread is 8.5 to 9 for Boston. And then the over under, the model likes 223, and the total is 217 ish. So the model is on Brooklyn to cover the spread. It is on the over. But I think one of the biggest problems with this is Brooklyn hangs around in games and then they end up losing in the fourth quarter. And Boston has had quite a few games recently, 3 of their last 6, where they've just struggled to score much, 103 points or less in 3 of their last 6 games. So the model's trying to figure out how many points they're going to score for each team. It's not a direct one-on-one who's going to win this game type of model. So that's why the Boston's coming back down. Brooklyn's been steady going down. They have not been doing as well recently, but they do like to hang around through 3 quarters. Obviously, last game they got absolutely destroyed by the Knicks. That was a first half blowout, like a 50-point win. So I expect Boston to win this game. I think that they will cover, but obviously they're gonna need to score more points than they have been to cover that big of a spread. They are going to be without Derek White today. Brooklyn looked like they were pretty healthy. Boston's 14-9 on the road. They're 3-2 in their last 5 and 6-4 in their last 10. And Brooklyn is 6-16 at home. They're 1-4 in their last 5, and they are 2-8 in their last 10. So Brooklyn's really been struggling. Boston is a really good team, and only missing White, they have plenty of players that can step up, even though he is a big piece. So I would probably lean Boston spread, even with it being that high. The over under is where I'm not entirely sure. Brooklyn's defense can allow a lot of points, and if Boston doesn't lock them down, Brooklyn, like I said, they like to hang around. So I could see this going over, or I could see it being right around there. Not a big fan of the under, just because I think Brooklyn can give up a lot of points, and as long as Michael Porter Jr. is hitting some shots, then they'll stick around. All right, so the next game we got is Denver and Milwaukee. The model has been on Denver most of the week. Started Denver by 3-4, went to a push slightly on the Milwaukee side, and then it's been growing stronger back towards Denver. Milwaukee's been struggling as a team ever since Giannis came back. They are not clicking. They've gotten blown out a couple of times. Um, Denver obviously is injured. They've been missing Jokic for quite a while, although they've been doing pretty well. They started to struggle a little bit more recently. It seems like the market does have Milwaukee favored about 5 to 7 points somewhere in there, and the over under has been around 222. So the model likes Denver to cover the spread and to win outright, and it also likes the over on this game. The total's been really consistent, right there around 224, 225, 226. So I think I would go on the over on this one. Um, Maybe buy it down a couple more points, take it down to like 218, save yourself a little bit of stress. But I like the over. I think Denver will cover just the way Milwaukee's been playing. Not a big fan of them right now. They don't look like they have any sort of chemistry together. Milwaukee will be without Kevin Porter Jr. again, and they will be Miles Turner possibly will play. He's questionable. Denver still has the same injuries: Christian Brown, Jokic, Cam Johnson. So they won't be playing, but it looked like should we expect to see Murray and Gordon tonight. They are on the second day of a back-to-back too, so you might want to fade them a little bit because of back-to-backs. But Denver has been a pretty good back-to-back team. Last year they were awesome on back-to-backs. Last year they also had Jokic the whole season. So I think my favorite pick on this one would probably be the over. And I really do like Denver to cover the spread. I'm surprised Milwaukee was favored considering the fact that they've just not looked good the last couple weeks. Our next game is going to be Houston going to Detroit on day two of a back to back, and they lost in overtime to Philly yesterday. Tough matchup, tough defense in Detroit. The model's been pretty consistent all week on Detroit. 7 down to 3, which this is the lowest it's been, but some of that's going to be because they played Philly so tough on the road, and they're just not a good road team yesterday. So it probably improved what it thinks they're going to get, but I think Detroit will probably cover this spread, sitting at about 4 to 5, especially if Cade plays. That's obviously the biggest question mark. Even without him, Harris, Duran, Ivy, they've been carrying the team pretty well. So total has shifted a little bit more than the spread. It's 224 down to 218, back up to 223. 218 is where they're sitting at in Vegas right now. So they don't like that boost in Houston score. They're looking at it more from how it was before that game, or they think Houston just might do worse because they're on the second day of a back-to-back. Like I said, Houston is worse at home. They're 11-13 on the road. They're 2-3 in their last 5, 5-5 in their last 10, and they have lost 5 straight road games after losing an OT last night. So definitely struggling on the road right now. Detroit is 1-0. They won in Houston. They are one of the, I believe, 3 losses Houston has at home. 115 to 111, close game, but it was back in October on the 24th, one of the first games of the season, second one, I believe. Detroit is 17-4 at home. They're just like Houston, better at home. They are 4-1 in their last 5. They are 8-2 in their last 10. So Detroit's been playing really well. Houston has been struggling a little bit, especially on the road. They're going to have some tired legs tonight. So it's going to be I think tonight's game is probably going to depend on the inside. This is a Duran versus Şengün game, if you ask me. Whoever can get the rebounds and assists. Duran's not as big as on assists as Şengün is, but he can get them, and I think that they're going to need some good ball movement. 2 decent defenses. So, like I said, I lean Detroit on the spread, and the over/under, I'm not entirely sure. I could see it going either way. I can see a solid defensive game, or I could see, I mean, it's not a high total, so I could see it going over, even if both teams just play their normal game. All right, next we got Indiana going to OKC. Biggest spread I think I've seen my model have this season, 12.5. Vegas still likes OKC by 3 more points, so it is on the Indiana spread side. I would not take that, but that's the side the model's on. It's also on the underside at 221. I could see the under happening if, as long as OKC builds a big enough lead early and then just kind of coasts on the game. If it stays competitive at all, then I think it's a good chance to go over because OKC, they're going to score, and I expect them to pull away at some point during the game. So I think I would lean on OKC on an adjusted spread if you can find a decent line, especially if you can get it in single digits at a decent line. That should be pretty easy, I would think, with the injuries Indiana has. But OKC's dealing with some right now, too. They will be without Caruso, J-Dub, Hartenstein, and then J. Will and Wiggins are questionable. So I believe all of those players were out last game. and they looked pretty good in Milwaukee still. So now they're back at home where they play better. The model has had OKC at 9 or better pretty much all week long. It was 8.7 day one, and it's been double digits ever since. The total has fluctuated a little bit, 219 up to 226, almost 227, and then back down to 221. So before the last game that were played for both of them, the total was actually right there with Vegas. So I think it depends really on the defenses here. If Indiana can play tough defense and keep it close early with good defense, then I think it could stay under. If Indiana just keeps up with them and it stays close, then they're going to push that past the total. So big spread that I really don't like ever. And a questionable total just because of that spread, in my opinion. So not a game that I'm a huge fan on. I just don't think you're going to find good odds on anything that you're going to want to play. But I would expect OKC to win pretty handily. All right, so the next game is going to be New Orleans and Memphis. As you can see, the model started out on New Orleans and it flipped to Memphis a couple days ago. But a lot of that flip was going to be John Morant, who's going to be out today. Him and Aldama, both key pieces of that Memphis team. So that's the information that's really missing from these models the most. So the fact that it's already on the New Orleans side of the spread, I think I would probably roll with the New Orleans side of the spread if I had to pick. I haven't dug too deep into this game, and I honestly don't follow either of these teams too well, so I could be wrong there. But just based on what the model is seeing, I do like the New Orleans spread. The over under is a little different. I'm not entirely sure. The model started at 228 and it's been growing all week, but how much of that was Ja Morant and Memphis scoring more and looking better? Without him, without Aldama, who can hit some threes along with good rebounding, just I would lean on the underside on this. Um, it already has it. It's only about a point to a few points under, depending on what the total is at right now. But I think Morant being out is going to affect that offense quite a bit. It has gone over easily in the two previous matchups. So I would have to dig in. I didn't dig in on this game. Like I said, I don't know if Morant played in those games or not. I know he's missed quite a few this season, but I don't know exactly what stretches it's been. So if he was out of those games, then I would probably actually lean on the over because they've already shown that they can do it twice. But if he didn't or if he did play in those games, I would definitely go under on this game. All right, next game is going to be Phoenix and Atlanta. Model kind of has this as like a pick'em game. It started at a 3-point favorite for Phoenix, flipped to a 1-point favorite halfway through the week for Atlanta, and now it's back to a 1-point favorite for Phoenix. Um, the total 226 dropped to 220, shot up to 235. So not super confident on that total, but it's pretty confident that they're going to score more than what it was predicting on day 4. Um, so if we look at this, Phoenix is decent on the road, 13 and 12. They're 3 and 2 in their last 5. They're 7 and 3 in their last 10. Atlanta has the head-to-head win. They won 124 to 122 in Phoenix. Atlanta struggles at home. They're 7 and 13 at home, 1 and 4 in their last 5, 4 and 6 in their last 10. So the model is on the Atlanta side of the spread. It's slightly on the overside for the game. I'm not entirely sure where I would want to go on this one. I like Phoenix personally, but I'm not entirely sure why it thinks it's so close. I thought Atlanta had been struggling quite a bit more than that, but the fact it flipped to Atlanta for a little bit, it's seeing something that it likes there, something in the matchup. So it's not injuries. Injuries are looking pretty clean for both teams. Booker's been back for a while, been looking pretty good. Phoenix is 7 and 3 in their last 10 versus 4 and 6 in their last 10 for Atlanta. So I do like Phoenix. This might be one where I would take them just on the line. Um, or you could probably even get them at plus a couple points and try to make it a little safer. Maybe they lose a close one, but the odds shouldn't be too bad with the way that this spread is right now. So, like I said, Phoenix plays pretty well on the road. Atlanta struggles at home, and they're just a very, very streaky team. So, Atlanta's going to have to stop the shooting of the Phoenix players, and they're going to have to hit them themselves. So, they're going to need Alexander Walker to hit some shots. Johnson's going to have a big game. Um, Dyson Daniels is going to have to get some assists and hit some shots. So, maybe Dylan Brooks goes 1 for 13 again. He likes to have some terrible games, but I'm on the Phoenix side on this one. That's where I'm at. All right, next we got Sacramento going to Cleveland. Another very large spread. Model's been growing all week for the spread. Sacramento had some good games like a week and a half ago, whatever. But they've been looking more like Sacramento of old, and Cleveland's been looking a little better recently, so I can understand why that spread's growing. I can honestly see Cleveland covering the spread, but I just don't like going double digits. Not in the NBA. It's you never know who's going to have a better than expected game, who's going to get in foul trouble and just not play, all that stuff. So if I had to pick a side, I would pick against the model. I would go with Cleveland on this. And then that total, I would go against the model here too. It's at 229. Um, I think 235 is very reasonable for this game. I think Cleveland can score, and I think Sacramento can give up points. And then they have 3-point shooters. Cleveland likes to give up the three. So this seems like a points game to me. Um, I think the over might actually be my favorite just because of how large that spread is. But I think Cleveland will win pretty easily. Um, Double digits doesn't seem out of reach to me. Sacramento on the road is 3-17, so they struggle there. 2-3 in their last five, and 4-6 in their last 10, and there's no head-to-head data. Cleveland 14-11 at home, 3-2 in their last five, 6-4 in their last 10, and they'll be without Garland and Merrill again. So, like I said, the injuries aren't actually like put in as a feature in the model, but as players miss more and more games, it does obviously it will figure out where they're affecting the game, and it'll model towards that. So Garland and Merrill have both been out for a couple games now, so while it's not strong in there, there will be features that reflect that, and this with the spread still growing with that information. I think if you want to adjust it down, if you can find a good line for Cleveland in the single digits, I think might be a good play. But if you want to go strictly on a spread or on an over, I think I like the over just because both teams can score and neither team is fantastic at defense. So I can see this one getting into a shooting match for a while until Cleveland can pull away. All right, last game is going to be Toronto going to Portland. Portland is on the second day of a back-to-back. They beat Miami last night, beat them pretty easily, double digits, I believe it was. So the model likes Portland here. It's liked them all except for day 6. It had a slight flip to Toronto. Early in the week, it was a lot heavier on Portland. It was about 2 points, went up to almost 6. Now it's sitting at 1 point. So the model's not entirely confident on this. It's kind of looking at it as a pick 'em game right now. The over under has been over every single day except for day 1. Day 1 started right in the middle of where they have the line at right now, but now it's gone up to 230. I think the biggest information here is going to be injuries. Portland still had Henderson out, but they have Abdia as probable. I'm going to assume he's going to play. And then Toronto had Portal out, but RJ Barrett was questionable. And then Colin Murray Boyles. Barrett, I think, is the biggest X factor. As I've said before, Toronto plays a lot better when Barrett is in the lineup. At least as their win-loss record does. But Toronto's 14-9 on the road, so they play well on the road. They're 3-2 in their last 5. They're 6-4 in their last 10. And they do have the head-to-head win 121-118 in Toronto at the beginning of December. And then Portland is 13-10 at home. They are 4-1 in their last 5 and 8-2 in their last 10. So they've been playing really well. The Vegas has the line at, I'm not sure where it's at right now, but 3 to 5.5 is what it's been, and the over under has been between 224 and 227. So I think what I would probably take is the over on this game. It's been pretty consistently above, and if Toronto does have Barrett play, that'll be a big boost for them. So maybe wait for the injury information to go final, make sure he's gonna play. I like Portland even if he does play. I think at least to cover the spread. I think if it's up there around 5 points, the way Portland's been playing, they they've been winning a lot of their games that at first I didn't think they should, but I've realized recently that they actually have a pretty good team. So, like I said, I think I would go Portland. I think I would go over on this one. All right, here's the hockey movement predictions. If you want to look at the hockey, some really good games yesterday between Detroit went into overtime, lost, and then Stamkos with a hat trick with a minute left after being down like 3-1 or 3-0. He won that game for him. So I love hockey, and it was an awesome day to watch hockey. But here's what it likes. It likes Philly to lose to Colorado as the highest confidence, which Colorado's really good at home. Philly has garbage goaltending, so I think that would probably be your best pick, maybe even to cover the 1.5. I would not be as confident as the model on Vancouver. Vancouver's terrible. They've only won one game in their last 10, and that was their last game against Washington. So they had lost, like, I think 11 or so before that. So, yeah, not as confident as the model. I'm not sure what it's seen there. The Rangers are terrible, but they're good on the road. So that game against San Jose could be a pretty good one, even though the Rangers aren't that good of a team. They might keep it close, like it says. Chicago's second day of a back to back, Dallas second day of a back to back, and Vegas is on the second day of a back to back. So you might be a little careful with those teams. Some tired legs. Normally, if you want to do those, I would probably do live bets. Normally, the tired legs are a little bit more at the beginning of the game. They get it going in the second period, and then they die down at the end. So yeah, those are the three that played yesterday. And then the Anaheim game, they have Seattle as medium confidence. But Anaheim's actually gotten a lot better. Like I said, they just beat Colorado in overtime. They went from a lot of multi-goal losses. They were looking really bad, no defense, and now they have 5 straight wins. So they flipped it around a lot. And the model flipped from Seattle to Anaheim and is now back on the Seattle side. But I think that one might actually go to the Anaheim. All right, here is slide one of the college games. If you're having any issues with the abbreviations of the teams, figuring them out, there should be links in the description that you can click on, and it'll have the whole team name. The reason that day one is blank and day two is still mostly blank, the my computer decided it wanted to shut down while I was running the model last night, so it did not update today. These will be the same predictions that were run from yesterday. But as you can see, they don't change that much. We're far enough into the season that there's not a whole lot of new information that's gonna be a big flip. It has a lot of the stuff that it's needing, and it's just a very small percentage of day by day information that goes in. So here's the first slide. We'll go to slide two. And here's the rest of the games. Like I said, I do have these ordered from highest confidence to lowest confidence. And then if you have any questions about it, just go ahead and click on about the abbreviations. I mean, about what team they are. Just click on the links, and it should have full team names in the link for the college sheet. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them in the comments or whatever, and I'll try to answer anything I can. But if you are going to be betting today, good luck. I wouldn't go strictly off of any of these predictions. They're all data backed and everything, but sports are very unpredictable, so Make sure you're doing your own research too, and good luck.